ITSC 1305, Week 7. In this overview, I'll discuss Lab 4, which is due at the end of Week 7, recap Windows Chapter D, E, and F, as well as preview Lab 5, which is due at the end of Week 8. Lab 4 consists of parts of a window, my computer, computer, or this PC, depending on which version of Windows you use, the control panel, Paint, and WordPad, as well as concepts such as cut, copy, and paste. We'll start with parts of a window. This window has a minimize button, which would shrink it to the taskbar down at the bottom, a restore down button, which makes the image less than full screen. When in restore down mode, you can resize a window or move a window. When in restore down mode, the middle icon is replaced by the maximize. Maximize fills the screen with that one window. You can close a window. On the desktop, you can hit the Start button or the Start key on your keyboard to open the Start menu in Windows 7. Notice we have access to My Computer, as well as the control panel. You'll also notice the cursor has placed itself in the Search Programs and Files window. So to start a program, simply press the Start button, then immediately start typing the name of the program you wish to use. In this case, WordPad sorts to the top. WordPad is a low-rent word processor. It doesn't have spell check or a lot of the other features that Microsoft Word does, but you can format text. Perhaps I'll type my name. Then I can format this so it's larger. This is measured in points. I can change the typeface. I can change the color. Formatting doesn't change the word, it simply changes the word's appearance. Let me press the Start button, and this time I'm going to search for Paint. On the File menu, Properties, 300 pixels by 300 pixels, and then you can just draw something. I might take a few seconds to actually do something a little fun. So I might start with the round shape, make sure my line is black and fairly thick. Then I might choose my straight line tool. I can hold down the Shift key to make that perfectly horizontal or perfectly vertical. By changing tools and changing colors, I can add a little extra detail to that, and maybe by going back to black, I can add a curved line feature. Again, using the curved line tool, pull it in, then click some other tool to lock that in. I can use my rectangular selection tool now to copy just part of that image. Copy duplicates whatever is selected, and there is a keyboard shortcut, or I could right-click and choose Copy. Switching back to WordPad, I can now paste. And again, I could click the icon, use Control-V, or right-click. Let me open the control panel now. Again, click to Start. Go to Control Panel. I don't like this view, so I'm going to use the arrow key. Remember, arrows mean more options. And I'm going to choose Icons. And from here, perhaps I'll find out a little bit about the mouse. I can change which buttons do what. I can change my pointer shapes. I have different pointer options. And in order to prove that I've actually been here, I'm going to press the Alt key, hold it down, and press the print screen key on the keyboard. Again, print screen captures the entire window. Alt plus print screen captures just the active window. Now, either click the paste icon, press Ctrl V, or right click, and now I have some formatted text, part of my selected image, and proof that I've visited the mouse control panel. I'm now going to go to Start and choose Computer. I've selected my O drive. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this Lab 4. Back in WordPad, I'm going to do File, Save As, and browse down to Computer, find my O drive, and open the Lab 4 folder. I'm going to change the name of this to my name-Lab 4, but I'll leave it an RTF and choose Save. I notice that the file name is now at the top of the document. If I now open Lab 4, I can see that the file is inside. By right-clicking the file, I can choose to copy, which duplicates the information. I could then right-click and paste, which inserts. Don't like that name. I can right-click the name and choose Rename. And instead of Craig-Lab 4, how about I call this Lab 4-Craig? Don't ever change the extension. I could also right-click and choose Send To and make a desktop shortcut. But I'll just choose Copy again. Now I'll right-click, and instead of Paste, I'll choose Paste Shortcut. I could then move this shortcut any place I needed it. Now I want to prove that I've actually copied the file, renamed the file, and made a shortcut to the file. So I'm going to resize this window. And then using Alt Print Screen, capture just this active window. I'll come down to this point in the document, right-click Paste, Ctrl V, or click the Paste menu. I now have formatted text, proof that I created an image and copied part of that image. I have proof that I visited the mouse control panel. I also now have proof that I've created a file, copied the file, changed the name of the file, and made a shortcut to the file. I'll save my changes, File, Save, and this document is what I'll then zip up and throw in the Dropbox. So Lab 4, I talked about the parts of the window using computer, a bit about the control panel, a bit about Word and Paint, and a bit about cut, copy, and paste. It's now time to move on to Windows D, where I'll be discussing favorites, folder options, details, personal folders, customization, and a real quick reminder of zipping. A shortcut is simply a pointer. It's a path to a file. You can make a web page a favorite by clicking on the star tool and choose Add to Favorites. By the way, if you're having trouble with Internet Explorer and the Temple College web page or desire to learn, press the Alt key and go to the Tools menu and make sure that you are using the compatibility view settings. Don't forget you can also click on the gear, go to Internet Options, Security, Trusted Sites, and add the school and Temple College to the trusted sites. By the way, while we're at it, let's make sure that you can see the entire file name. Press the Alt key to get to the Tools menu. Folder Options. View, and make sure you turn off Hide Extensions for known file types. I'll maximize this window, and I'll use my back button to get back to Lab 4. If I right-click, I can go to Properties. And this will tell me how large the contents of the folder are, how many files are in there. And look here, we actually have Read-Only and Hidden. Next to that, a button labeled Advanced. If I choose Advanced, this is where I can also set the archival setting. Not only can I right-click a folder, if I open the file, I can right-click a file and get properties. Yes, I realize the properties display at the bottom of the screen when I select a file, but this gives me quite a bit more information about the file, including the ability to change which program opens the file. Not only can I get properties on a file or folder, if I choose Computer and right-click a hard drive, I can actually get properties on the hard drive. The General shows me the label of the disk. Don't forget we labeled our disks when we formatted them way back in week 2. The file system, this is not FAT, this is NTFS. A description of how the disk is set up now, how much free space and how much use space there is. Now, I'd like you to take a few seconds to notice that I can change views from lists to small icons to large icons, and we see some folders have different contents. So if I make just a new folder, it shows up with this icon. But if I start putting contents in those folders, I can actually see a preview of some of those contents. More importantly, though, if I choose the Libraries link on the side, let me make this just a little larger. These are actually folders. I know they don't look like folders, but these are actually folders created by Windows for you, meaning that we should be able to change the icon of our other folders if we wanted to. So I'm going to go back and choose a folder on my desktop. I'll make a new folder. I'll right-click that folder and go to Properties, Customize. I can show which file displays in that folder, or I can change the icon. A reminder on how to zip files. Back to my O drive. There's the Lab 4 folder. Let me make it bigger so you can see it. Recall that the Lab 4 folder contains the file, a renamed copy of the file, and a shortcut to the file. I'll right-click, Send to, choose Compressed Zip Folder. Don't forget to rename that to Your Name Lab 4 before placing it in the Dropbox. Windows E. A little bit about the desktop. Time and date, fonts, scheduled tasks, the taskbar in the Start menu. On my desktop, if I right-click, I can choose Personalize. From here, I can change my mouse pointers. I saw that a little earlier, but notice there's also something to change desktop icons. Let me click the link to change desktop icons. And notice I can add the network icon to my desktop. I can also deal with the display. I'll come back to the taskbar and Start menu in a moment. But looking across the bottom, I notice that I can change the desktop. I can use pictures. I can also fill the window with that picture, make the picture fit, stretch the picture until it fits the screen, or repeat the picture until it fills the screen. Window color should be called Windows Color and Appearance. If I choose Window Color, I can choose the color of my toolbars. You'll notice that mine is transparent, but there's also an advanced appearance setting. From here, I could choose any part and change the size, color, etc. I could even change my icons to make the icons larger, or to change the typeface associated with that. So again, don't forget, under Windows Color, it really should be called Windows Color and Appearance, where you can change the appearance of any window feature. I also have sounds, where I can associate different sounds with different events within the computer. I also have Screensaver. I'm not a big fan of screensavers. Screensavers take up the computer's memory. They eat up processor time. If I'm not by the computer, I'll probably set it to blank. Notice you can also set to require a password to come back in. But even better than just blanking out the screen might be to choose the power settings and actually have the monitor turn itself off when it hasn't been used in a bit. You'll notice in the middle, themes. Themes allow you to change the mouse pointers, the background, the Windows color, icon size, sounds, and screensavers simultaneously. I'm going to go back to my control panel home from here and take a look at fonts. You'll notice that the fonts have a preview on these, and different fonts have different settings. I'm going to choose the system font and double click. You'll notice the system font, as it increases in size, becomes very pixelated. So newer fonts scale smoothly. Under Administrative Tools is where you can schedule tasks. Some tasks that might be scheduled is to update your antivirus or Windows Update. Any program that can be run can be scheduled. As far as scheduling goes, some items cannot be run while Windows itself is running. You can schedule your file system to be checked with ScanDisk the next time you boot your computer. This will boot into real mode, which looks very similar to DOS. Real mode then processes the repair using a batch file, and then when it's finished, boots into Windows under protected mode. To personalize the taskbar or the start menu, right-click the taskbar or start menu. I can right-click the Start button and go to Properties. I can also access taskbar property from here as well. When changing something, see if there's a button that says Default, Windows F. Some of the utilities. We'll also talk about Disk Cleanup, Rollback and Restore, Add and Remove, and just a quick reminder about the command prompt. Recall, if you have a floppy disk, if you right-click the floppy disk, you can choose to format the floppy. But you could also copy the disk, which is the same as disk copy. If I switch to my computer, if I right-click the hard drive, I still have a few options, but I don't quite see some of the utilities. If I choose Properties and Tools, this is where you can access error checking, which used to be called ScanDisk, defrag, defragmentation, rearrange the files so they are contiguous and load faster, and backing up your files, which used to be called MS Backup. Recall, ScanDisk cannot run fully if Windows itself is running, but you can schedule ScanDisk to run the next time the computer is started. I'd like to talk a little bit about putting things back the way they were. Again, every once in a while, you'll try to update something or make a change and it doesn't quite work out. There are a few things that you can do for this. Let's say I go under the System and choose my Device Manager. If one of these objects was not working correctly, there'd be an icon next to it. Let's say next to my keyboard, if I right-click and choose Properties, I can find out which driver is being used. I could even try to update the driver. If I update the driver and it doesn't work as well as it did before, I'd be able to go back and roll back the driver to put it the way it was before it got messed up. Back in the control panel, we can also deal with software. So if you look around for something that says software or programs, in Windows 7 you'll find programs and features. This allows you to uninstall software that you have added. Never simply delete a program, because this leaves the registry with the wrong information within. You always select something that you no longer need and then choose to uninstall. Adding software simply requires you to double-click the installer. And finally, just a quick reminder, if you type in CMD, you can get to the command prompt and do everything that you were doing from DOS. Lab 5 includes changing the desktop, getting disk properties, showing me that you know how to use the utilities, and how to remove software. Recall, I am not doing the entire lab. I'm simply showing you the highlights. In Computer, I'll go to my O drive and make a new folder and call it Lab 5. I'll click on Start, type in WordPad to start up WordPad. Next, I want to change the desktop. Right-click the desktop, choose Personalize. Add a desktop icon. Add Network to the desktop. There's the icon. I'll use Print Screen, switch back to WordPad, and paste proof that I added the network icon to the desktop. Back in my O drive, I'll navigate to the hard drive, right-click, and get Properties. I'd like a screenshot showing that I've gotten to the hard drive Properties. So Alt Print Screen, switch back to WordPad, paste that in. While I'm at it, I'll get Tools and Alt Print Screen. And back in the control panel, Programs, and just get a quick screenshot, Alt Print Screen. And save this yourname-lab5 file, save as. Don't forget to save it in your O drive, in your Lab 5 folder, and let's call it yourname-lab5. It'll still be an RTF. Close WordPad, right-click, send to compressed zip folder, and call it yourname-lab5.zip. There's more to the labs. I've just shown you the highlights. I've shown you parts of Lab 4, which is due at the end of week 7. I've shown you a little bit about Windows Chapter D, Favorites and Folders, a little bit about Windows Chapter E, changing the desktop, control panel, and customization in general. I've shown you a little bit about Windows F, the utilities, and more about the control panel. I've also shown you a little bit about Lab 5, which is due at the end of week 8.